Good afternoon, everyone. It's Wednesday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day for those who celebrate. We have just one bill for our hearing today, House Bill 1376, brought to us by our Vice Chair. Go ahead, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for having me. I feel like Tupac, that all eyes are on me today since I have the only bill. I know you like that, Daryl Barnes. I'm here to present on House Bill 1376, which is a comprehensive bill that aims to remedy the learning loss suffered by our students over the past year during this pandemic, as well as equip our state for high quality virtual education when circumstances require its implementation. As many of you know, we've held multiple meetings as an education subcommittee over the interim to hear from teachers, students, advocates on virtual learning experiences and to provide us with some feedback on those. And what we did was come up with a few recommendations over the course of the last 6 months. And this bill consists of those. It has been clear that our state and local education systems were ill-equipped for the sudden transition to remote learning last March. And despite having a year to make changes, our students continue to suffer from inadequate educational opportunities. This bill provides a robust infrastructure to ensure our school systems are prepared and adequately equipped when students are required to learn remotely. This ongoing preparation is key to ensuring that students don't lose valuable learning time. Specifically, this comprehensive virtual learning legislation would ensure our teachers are fully prepared before they become teachers, and also offer training while virtual learning is happening or while currently a teacher. It would expand virtual learning infrastructure through the bill by creating a universal learning management system for all Maryland schools to use and ensure it implements the curriculum standards. It comprehensively engages students and their families. And the one thing I did want to mention, that the bill as written is not the intent of the recommendations that we proposed. So we've already drafted some recommendations that will be sent out to the subcommittee later on today and probably tomorrow to consider as we decide to move this bill. It is a very comprehensive one, but some of the intent in the legislation as currently written is not what I intend to move. But I expect us to make some significant changes that aligns again with the recommendations that we propose. With that said, Madam Chair, I'll take any questions, and I want to thank members of this committee who've helped develop some of these recommendations, and for all your hard work that you put into this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Washington. I did read the bill this weekend, so I did have a question for you. Is the parts about flip the classroom, is that something you're keeping in the bill? And if so, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so that we are keeping the flip the classroom in the bill. It will be a more targeted pilot program as we're envisioning it. And the flip the classroom is something that we discussed over the last few months. What it is that it allows teachers to be able to record their lessons in their class, and for students to be able to go back and review those after a while. So it does not record the actual students, but it would record a teacher, and it would allow the student to go back to review it and be able to look at it. We thought it would be an innovative approach, and it would be a pilot program that we can use here in the state. As we're thinking about it, we're thinking about allowing students who are dual enrolled students that are in high school and obtaining their associate's degree through our community colleges to be able to be the first ones to be able to use it, so we can get out all the kinks of the program.
All right, thank you. Other questions? Delegate Rose?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Delegate Washington, for the bill. So I'm just now starting to read through it and read through the fiscal note. So I might have more questions, but so I know that in speaking with our superintendent, they were already in the process of coming up with some virtual learning options within our county, such as, maybe one school doesn't have enough children that want to take maybe German or French because they're a smaller school, being able to do that virtually with one of our larger schools. And I do see merit in the virtual school learning. I know we had some other bills this year. So how prescriptive is this going to be? And our county's going to have leeway to implement their own policies, and how restrictive are the requirements going to be? If you can summarize, I mean, obviously I'll read the bill and I'll ask you more questions, but if you can summarize.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're on the subcommittee as well, so you have a stake in this and be able to add your input. But our goal with this is to make sure there's equity when creating these classes, when creating virtual schools. Many times, what we've seen and what we don't want to happen is that you create a virtual school for a particular, demographic of students, of TAC, for instance, TAC students, and most of the TAC students end up being, unfortunately, a lot of times more people who are higher incomes, and folks who are more fluent, and folks who are not minorities. And so we want to make sure that there's diversity in those classes. And so you will see some language that closes it to make sure that it's either done on a pilot program basis initially, and to be able to get the kinks out, but it won't be as prescriptive as I think you would imagine.
Right. Any other questions? Delegate Washington, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I do want to add just one quick thing. I guess you saw me about to say something. Yeah, there's some language in here about permanent virtual schools. That's something that the work group and multiple other folks do not agree with. We do want to start off with a pilot program and make sure that we're getting it right. I think that there were some mistakes that occurred during the virtual learning experience this time around during the pandemic. But I think we can learn from that and build on top of that too. So that's my hope with this bill, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Delegate. All right, we have one person signed up to testify. John Willems, it's all on you. Welcome.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Vice Chairman, I won't be as emphatically supportive of this bill as we are of the blueprint revisions bill. I still like to note that everyone else basically supports that bill with amendments, but I actually just said urge the immediate passage of the emergency legislation. Want to, hold that up. But with regard to this bill, it's a modification of a similarly strong supportive position. I think Delegate Washington, in addressing the need for amendments to clarify intent, that is certainly why I wanted to sign up supportive with amendments relative to needing some clarifications about some of the major provisions of this legislation. But we really appreciate the flexibility building on the existing framework in the statute that provides the authorization to the department or to local school systems to establish virtual schools. I think the equity guardrails are highly appropriate. And as long as the discretion is there to participate in pilots, we worry a lot less about what the parameters of those pilots are. We can work that out. And yes, everyone acknowledges, I think, the value of the state level platform and some additional, more robust attention to developing that. And I would say that based on the fiscal note, I presume that there is federal funding aligned with meeting some of the state's needs in addressing those cost issues to establish that state level platform. But again, we do have questions. Madam Chair, you asked about the flip to classroom. Asynchronous is one of those buzzwords that, we strongly preferred the synchronous learning to the asynchronous. And so that was something that jumped out at folks. And then the notion of permanent virtual schools, because other states have established alternative education programs and things that I think we've not done for a lot of good reasons. And so we want to be, cautious about that and understand those parameters and the intent as well. But really look forward to working constructively toward the passage of this legislation and appreciate the framework And again, the flexibility and building on the existing statutory authority that we have to develop virtual schools in Maryland. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Willems. We do have a question from Delegate Ebersol.
So much, Madam Chair. My apologies, this question might be more for the sponsor than Mr. Willems, but either. I just want to clarify, it's my understanding, and you can just say yes or no, you can elaborate if you'd like, because it might help me. Flip the Classroom is not really designed to be recording a teacher teaching a class. It's more they're going to record a lesson outside of a classroom setting that could be accessed, a similar lesson to the lesson they use. Is that an accurate assessment of what that program is like?
Yes.
Okay, because I think there's a lot of concern among people about, FERPA and things like that, and that wouldn't really be an issue here, would it?
No.
Okay, thank you. That was exact.
Okay, any other questions from?
That's why I like you on Wednesdays, Delegate.
Apparently only on Wednesdays, if I'm to understand your legislative language there.
I'll take it.
To members, that was just our one and only witness today. So we're done with the hearing on House Bill 1376. I believe at least one subcommittee is meeting today, if not two, and some are meeting tomorrow. So we will try to vote as a full committee sometime tomorrow afternoon, likely between sessions. So are there announcements from any of the subcommittee chairs, starting with Mr. Vice Chair?
We will be meeting tomorrow, time to be determined.
Okay. Delegate Wilkins? Delegate Wilkins?
Everyone, just a reminder that election law is going to meet immediately after this meeting. So if you can log off here and make sure you log to the Zoom for election law, that would be great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Delegate Wilkins. Delegate Ebersol?
Early childhood will meet presumably at noon or directly after session tomorrow.
Thank you. Delegate Barnes?
Local revenues will meet Thursday for 1 or 2 bills.
All right, stay tuned on time. Delegate Patterson? Oh, you just muted.
Thank you. Racing and gaming can stay put for right now.
All right. And Delegate Lutke?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Revenue Subcommittee will meet tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. The bill list should be emailed to you momentarily.
All right. Thank you all very much. If there's nothing else for the go to the order, see you in a couple hours on the floor. Bye.